If you are sad and suffering for depression, I encourage you. I inspire you right now. You are worth it. You have value and you have worth just as you are, but you also have not met your full potential yet. It can look different for all of us. It's basically a choose your own adventure novel, right? Like that helps you to feel like you're not alone and you're not going through this by yourself, because girl, you're not. Newsflash. Newsflash, you're not going through it alone. And that getting in our self-pity because we don't have what we think we're supposed to have, but it's based on what society says we should have and our culture says we should have instead of something bigger than ourselves. I did all the things. I went to school, I went to college, I got a degree, I got a job, I got a promotion, I went back to school, got another degree, got another job, got another promotion, I got another promotion, and it still ended me up in a place where I was like, well, crap. We're all on this crazy journey together, trying to survive that society slime. Change is a solo mission and unique, but it can be accompanied. Is this all there is to life? Is this, oh, no. Toward helping other people, all of that ish started to melt away. It literally melts away. Once, do you see that path of elevation? That path of getting out of yourself, crawling out of that pit of despair, and then eventually depression is gonna become less and less in that wheel and may even become invisible. It may even not exist anymore for you. Wow. And helping other people to escape the matrix. That gets the juices flowing. That gets us where we start thinking, oh my gosh, maybe things aren't as bad as I thought. Maybe things are looking up. Maybe there is a way for me to be useful. Maybe there is a way for me to be happy. Hi everyone, welcome back. I am so glad that you're here today. I'm going to be sharing my experience and helping you to question your experience and acting more as your encourager and perhaps inspiring you to find out more, to grow more, to learn more, and to ultimately be happier and more self-fulfilled and in alignment, right? Doing your soul's purpose. If I can encourage and support and guide you toward that in any way, that's my jam, and I'm sticking to it. I've got my journal here with me where I've been taking some notes, kind of what is out there in our field of awareness. We've had a lot of stuff going on. We're also still in eclipse season. There's a lot of moving and shaking and opportunity for reflecting on your journey so far, and things may be happening that are really shaking your life up, and it's okay. You can stay grounded and keep working on being a better version of yourself every day, even though you might be going through some really major shifts. The themes that I want to talk with you a little bit about today are around self-pity and how we pity others, kind of just the nature of pity, and sort of a flow or a loop that we can get into when we succumb to that pitfall of self-pity, especially, and how we can wander away from a place of being helpful to others and actually become quite isolated and secluded and depressed. So depression is going to come up some today. Unfortunately, I have personal experience with that, like so many of us, and I just ended up tying that together when I was reflecting on the pity component. Into play is also going to come information about taking action. I really just want to share that I have been someone who has struggled with self-pity, and I don't think that it's often something that we really want to think about, because when we are succumbing to thinking about ourselves so much and being so worried and consumed about ourselves that we can only focus on the things that are going wrong in our life, the things that are negative. Maybe maybe you've known someone or you've seen a type of person that always just has that attitude of like waiting for the next negative thing to happen. They really struggle with having a positive or optimistic worldview, and they kind of are just always, this bad thing happened to me and that bad thing happened to me, and why do these bad things keep happening to me? And they may be verbalizing it to you, like maybe a friend, but also with self-pity, and I know this is true for me, I really got into that dark place of after talking about it with some of my close friends, like I didn't even want to talk about it anymore. I was so consumed by it, so caught up in this negative thought loop of like, oh my God, what if I never get better? What if things never get better? What if I stay depressed forever? Because for me, and I think maybe for a lot of people, being so self-focused, self-centered really, again, not pleasant to think about, but we're silly human critters, as I frequently share, and it gets to that place. I have to take responsibility for that, right? Like I'm responsible for the degree to which some things are going negatively or being perceived by me negatively, but I also have to take responsibility for taking action and getting myself out of that. So we get so caught up in that self-pity cycle that it starts to bring our mood down, and we get into that place of hopelessness and helplessness. Like, you can't help me with this. Everything's just awful. I have no hope that it's going to get better in the future. And bam, wham, bam, zumbo, boombo. That was some gibberish. You're there and now you're depressed. And that really dark corner of the world to be in is super scary, because then we can start getting into a place where we feel like there's no point in going on. We get so consumed in ourselves, in our depression, in that isolation and inaction, that we feel like we're going to give up on our soul and we're just not going to be here anymore. And I have been in that place a couple times. Thankfully, I never acted on it. It's very sad because I believe there is a way out of it. And what we've been taught about depression being a chemical imbalance in the brain has some truth, because when we start having these thoughts, the thoughts affect the body makes different chemicals or doesn't receive those chemicals in a correct way, and we can't make ourselves as happy as we once did. But I do believe that it's very thought driven, and through the help of traditional therapy or doing your own reflective, spiritual, personal growth kind of journey, you can pull yourself out of it. This is not a substitute. I'm not a doctor or a therapist for getting professional help. If you're ever having thoughts of hurting yourself or others, please reach out, and we'll put the suicide hotline phone number in the description below, because it's very serious, and I don't ever want anyone to get hurt or succumb to that if it's avoidable. As I was mentioning, we get so self-pitied that we become passive and we just sort of let life happen around us. And our soul starts to die. You know, we get into that hopeless place. And so I wrote down this loop. When we get depressed and we have that sickness and we feel dependent and broken, that feeds into more self-pity of like, oh my God, everything's so bad, I'm never going to get better. Because you're in that place, you isolate and you don't take action, and then that inaction, that kind of freeze state you hear people talk about, feeds your depression, and it's like a vicious cycle. So while I was having kind of a stream of consciousness and thought about it, you know, we want ourselves to meet ourself with self-encouragement. And if we know and love someone that's suffering with depression or might be in this cycle of self-pity, we want to not be passive, and we don't want to pity them. That's not that we don't have empathy for them. It's just that we don't want to feed into, oh my gosh, I know, like, things are awful. I can't believe all this bad stuff keeps happening to you. You know, I feel like we need to come in and we need to be the encourager, maybe when they're not there to encourage themselves, and give them viable options for taking action. In my personal case, I have gotten help from a support group. I have in the past gotten help from individual therapists. My therapist is amazing. God bless her. And I listen to astrology, and I have an astrologer, and those energies kind of guide me toward having a more uplifting view and getting out of myself and trying to help others. It can look different for all of us. It's basically a choose your own adventure novel, right? Like, get on in there, Tune into what sounds good to you. Find somebody that resonates with you. Find someone that talks in a way that you can relate to, that helps you to feel like you're not alone and you're not going through this by yourself. Because, girl, you're not. Newsflash. Newsflash, you're not going through it alone. We're all on this crazy journey together, trying to survive that society slime that I've talked about before. That, that's another thing on the self-pity that I want to bring up while I'm chatting with you, is that we have to take responsibility for our thoughts and our emotions, and whether we're handling those in a mature way and feeling them and accepting them as fleeting and temporary, and that they will move on. No emotion is permanent. This was a very hard lesson that I had to learn, by the way. I went so many years without having emotion, then I became hyper emotional, and then I had to realize, like, okay, I can feel really intensely in this emotion right now, but it's going to be gone soon. And I don't have to get hung up in it or stuck in it for a very long period of time. But back to the society slime. One of the reasons I think that in the era we're living in right now, we can tend toward self-pity more, is that we don't have an infrastructure that is reminding us to constantly get out of ourselves and do for others. There are good things happening in the world. There are, group initiatives, charities, churches, schools, people that are getting aligned, and that is all really, really excellent, and it definitely is what we need. The thing is, while all that is going on, if you don't curate the information that you're getting, then you're still constantly being bombarded by a system that is telling you you aren't pretty enough, you aren't smart enough, if you don't do this, you're not educated enough, if you're not killing yourself in a job and completely exhausted, you're not worthy, that you have to have a college education, that you have to work in a corporate job for the greater part of 60 years till you're too old to enjoy life and retire and travel and do whatever it is that you think that you want to do. The system that we live in is literally telling us that we can't do that. And many people believe it. And then when we fail, hello, I just failed at it. I did all the things. I went to school, I went to college, I got a degree, I got a job, I got a promotion, I went back to school, got another degree, got another job, got another promotion, I got another promotion. And it still ended me up in a place where I was like, well, crap, I'm depressed. Poor pitiful me. Is this all there is to life? Is this, no. We all have a light inside us that we can share. We all have this hope. And that getting in our self-pity because we don't have what we think we're supposed to have, but it's based on what society says we should have and our culture says we should have, instead of something bigger than ourselves, giving back to our community, getting out of ourselves and helping other people to escape the matrix. That, I feel, that is what life is about. The loop that we want to move from is depression to pity to inactivity to more depression, more feeling sick, more feeling dependent, more feeling broken, self-pitying ourselves more, not doing anything, including for ourselves or others, and then going back into even more depression, okay? Because that doesn't end well. Changing it to a loop of I'm depressed or someone is depressed. I'm going to encourage myself, or I'm going to be encouraged by others, or we're going to encourage that person who is depressed and in that self-pity. That is going to allow that individual, and we are going to create for ourselves ability, being able to do things, and a sense of empowerment. And that empowerment and that ability that we will be able to sense because we're being encouraged will lead to inspiration. That will get the wheels juiced, right? That gets the juices flowing. That gets us where we start thinking, oh my gosh, maybe things aren't as bad as I thought. Maybe things are looking up. Maybe there is a way for me to be useful. Maybe there is a way for me to be happy. And that inspiration leads us to take action. And do you see that path of elevation, that path of getting out of yourself, crawling out of that pit of despair? And literally, you could make that shift right now. If you are sad and suffering for depression, I encourage you. I inspire you right now. you are worth it. You have value and you have worth just as you are, but you also have not met your full potential yet. And you can do anything that you set your mind to. You can accomplish anything that you can think of can be. You have the power within you. You have the power within your spirit. You have the energies of this earth and all the amazing resources that are in plants and our animal world, that are in our academies and our schools, that are in the strength of our families and our communities. All of that is right there, ready for you to grab it by the short and curlies. And yes, I just said that. And you can look at that. And I just send to you right now, I so hope that you can be and feel inspired. Because if I can come from that dark place of self-pity and depression and start to be inspired and start to reach out and start to take action, you can too. And the beautiful thing is, as you move onward, you get less depression. And then eventually depression is going to become less and less in that wheel and may even become invisible. It may even not exist anymore for you. Wow. I put action kills depression. Inaction nurtures that depression, right? But action kills the depression. Action is like the fire extinguisher on the flame of depression. And the flame of depression will consume you if you don't try to snuff it out and take action. And I know that has got to sound so incredibly hard. And I know I've had those wallowing days and weeks on end of not taking care of myself and eating complete trash and knowing in my heart, like I need to do something, and just not being able to, like feeling like completely stuck. Ugh, it was awful. But when I found the right people, when I started listening to the people that had messages of encouragement and inspiration, and they gave me action steps that I could take to take better care of myself, to diminish that self-pity, to stop my negative thinking cycle, and to start taking action toward helping other people, all of that ish started to melt away. It literally melts away. This tea is very good. It's very good. I also put down here, since we're discussing these themes of self-pity and pitying others, and instead moving toward a place of encouragement and inspiration, so we can break that depression, pity, inactivity cycle and move it to a depression, encouragement, empowerment, inspiration, and creativity, really into action. And then that action kills the depression. I wrote down, change is a solo mission and unique, but it can be accompanied. So I can't do the work for you. I can't take away your self-pity. I can't diminish your depression. I can't wave a magic wand, but I can be here in my lighthearted spirit telling you that I've been there and I know how it feels. And I send you so much empathy and compassion, and concurrently send you these themes so that you can try to wield them and fight for your life, fight for yourself. And then in order to banish this feeling, not 100% of the time, because that's like pretty much impossible, but in order to banish it so completely thoroughly that you can thrive and be happy, help others with this. Reach out to your brother or sister who is depressed. Talk to them about self-pity. Talk to them about taking action and helping others, and then they'll be cured. It's like, and then it'll be infectious. We can spread the disease of happiness. Like a virus, it'll multiply. A happiness virus, a happy bug, if there ever was one. So that is what I'm bringing for you today. I really hope that you found this information to be helpful. If you are liking this message and enjoying this format, sharing experiences, trying to grow together, please give this video a like and subscribe. If you have a friend or a loved one that's suffering with depression, send them this video. Let them know that I have other content when I was still kind of in a teaching format. If they'd like to look at that, I'll add a link to my self-care playlist here. And then I will also add a link to my mindset shifting playlist here. so that there are more resources for everyone to utilize in order to be as happy as possible and to give back as much as possible. It's been lovely being with you today. Thank you for pulling up a chair, and I can't wait to see what the universe and divinity gives me to bring your way next. Until then, take care. Cheers.